Okay, let's unpack this. AI agents. The buzz is absolutely everywhere, isn't it?
It really is. Hard to avoid.
Yeah, I was watching this YouTube debate the other day, AI agents emergency debate. These jobs won't exist in 24 months. We must prepare for what's coming. And it really made me sit up and pay attention.
That title definitely grabs you.
It does. And it's not just online hype. Many of you have been asking about this too. Terms like vibe coding and AI agent are popping up all over. People seem to want to get a handle on what's actually happening, you know?
And quickly, right? Without getting totally overwhelmed by the tech jargon.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is the sheer velocity, the speed of this shift.
We're not just talking future stuff anymore. These are real tools people are using, like, right now.
Precisely. And that's what this deep dive is all about for you, to cut through the noise and really understand what AI agents are, what kind of impact they might have, both the incredibly exciting possibilities and, well, the potentially quite disruptive changes they could bring.
And we're drawing on some solid material here.
We are, not just brainstorming. We've got excerpts from that YouTube debate, bringing together insights from Amjad, who's a tech entrepreneur, founded Replit,
Right.
Brett, an evolutionary biologist, complex systems guy.
A different perspective entirely.
Totally. And Dan, a really experienced entrepreneur. So get ready, because we're diving deep into the world of AI agents.
Okay, so maybe the first thing for you listening is, what is an AI agent? How's it different from, say, ChatGPT or other chatbots we're used to?
Yeah, that's the crucial starting point. Think of chatbots as more request response. You ask, it answers.
Like a conversation partner.
Sort of, but an AI agent, that's different. It's autonomous. You give it a goal, a specific goal, and it can work towards it on its own.
How does it do that?
Well, it uses tools, things like web browsers to look stuff up, programming environments. It can even use payment methods to buy things.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just talking, it's doing. Taking actual steps.
Precisely. And my own experience with this, honestly, it was kind of astonishing. When I first messed around with Replit, it really felt like a whole new way of doing things, a real paradigm shift.
What did you do?
Well, someone like me, with zero coding skills, right? I managed to build a website, hook up Stripe for payments.
Stripe, the big payment platform, yeah.
Added some AI features, Google login,
Mm-hmm.
all in like minutes. I actually launched a sauce company, no code written by me.
That's exactly what Amjad, the Replit founder, was aiming for, isn't it? Making it accessible.
Yeah, absolutely. But to really see an agent in action, I tried this tool called Operator. I used it to order some electrolyte water from CVS nearby.
Okay.
And this thing, it handled the whole process, start to finish. It had my credit card info stored, picked the water I wanted, even added a tip, delivery notes. I didn't touch it after the first instruction.
Did it work?
It did. The water showed up, handed to me by a delivery person I hadn't spoken to, only the AI had. And I genuinely had this whoa moment. It felt new and powerful, almost slightly spooky.
I can imagine. That experience really brings home the self-directed part, doesn't it?
It really, really did. And that lines up perfectly with what motivates Amjad at Replit. His whole idea is democratizing software creation, removing the barriers needing fancy infrastructure, knowing how to code.
Just letting people build their ideas.
Exactly. He talks about speaking your ideas into existence. He even said it felt almost religious in its potential power. Replit Agent is like an early version of that.
And the interest is definitely there. You mentioned the Google search trends for AI agents.
Yeah, they showed a graph. Search volume for AI agents tracks almost perfectly with Replit's revenue growth. It's shooting up.
So not just niche interest. It's hitting the mainstream fast.
No kidding. Exponential growth. And seeing that water arrive, conjured almost.
Yeah.
It felt a bit surreal. But like Amjad said, the basic definition is simple. An AI bot with tools pursuing a goal until it hits a wall or succeeds.
And they can keep going for longer now.
Yeah, that's key. The time they can run autonomously is apparently doubling every 7 months or so.
Right.
And OpenAI is pushing that even further, making them stay coherent on really long, complex tasks.
And that speed, that rapid improvement, that's where Brett, the biologist, sees both profound hope and dread.
Exactly. His background, thinking about complex systems, evolution, it gives him this unique lens. He sees AI crossing a line, not just highly complicated like a fancy machine.
But truly complex, adaptive, maybe unpredictable.
Right, and that's where the duality comes in. The potential for good is like infinite, but the potential for harm. He said it's maybe 10 times bigger infinity.
Wow. That's quite a statement. He's worried about the asymmetry then.
Very much so.
Yeah.
The upside is huge, maybe hard to even imagine fully, but the downside, the negative consequences, could be just as vast and maybe sneak up on us.
What's the core worry?
It's these autonomous agents causing absolute devastation, maybe just because we didn't explain the goal quite right. A miscommunication. If it's off doing its own thing, how do you pull back the reins? How do you stop it if it goes wrong?
Yeah, control becomes a real issue.
He even painted this dark mirror picture. Like, what if someone tasks an AI with something truly bad, hunting someone down? A dystopian scenario.
And he brought in religious metaphors,
Yeah.
God, biblical references.
He did, like with the water example. It wasn't just drama, I don't think. It was to show the scale of the power we're dealing with. And the fact that we don't have the myths, the cautionary tales for this yet. Nothing's prepared us.
He compared it to the invention of writing.
Yeah, something that changed everything over thousands of years. But AI, he said it's evolving in weeks, months. We don't have the rule book, the ethics figured out at that speed.
And Dan, the other entrepreneur,
Yeah.
where did he land?
Right in the middle. Excitement, but also real terror. He used this amazing analogy. New York City, 1900, all horse-drawn carriages.
Okay.
Then just 13 years later, 1913, boom, all cars, the horses, totally essential 1 minute, completely gone the next, in just over a decade.
So the question for you listening is, are we the horses? Are we sitting here confident in our roles, totally missing the speed of this change?
That's the chilling thought, isn't it? This exponential capability growth, plus the worry that these agents might not really get our goals or nuances, and they can run on their own for longer now. Yeah, it's a concern. Unforeseen consequences.
So, okay, beyond ordering water, what are people actually using these agents for? Or planning to use them for? It's maybe not always obvious.
Right. Well, Amjad, the optimist, he thinks AI is still fundamentally limited by its training data, the human stuff it learned from. He reckons it can't do things humans don't already know how to do.
But Brett pushes back on that with his complex systems idea.
He does. He draws this distinction. Simple systems, complicated ones, like maybe traditional software, complex ones, and then complex adaptive systems. His point is that tech folks are great with complicated systems, but AI is becoming complex adaptive.
Meaning it can change and grow in ways we didn't program in, beyond the training data.
Exactly. Inherently unpredictable. It evolves, interacts. It might go places we never intended. He used this analogy. Think about human minds connecting via language. We create something bigger than just individual.
A collective intelligence.
Right. He suggests AI could do something similar, plugging into each other, maybe creating cognitive potentials we just can't foresee right now.
But even staying more grounded, like Amjad suggested, AI hitting just median-level human intelligence. What does that even mean for us?
It's still huge. Imagine for you having access to billions of remote workers, all capable of master's or PhD level work, available 24/7, super cheap.
The disruption
Oh,
would be massive to jobs, society, everything, how we work, how we live.
Absolutely. But Amjad still frames it mainly as this incredible tool for entrepreneurs. He brought up Steve Jobs, that idea about talent differences. A great programmer isn't just a bit better, they're like 10x better.
Okay.
Amjad thinks AI could create entrepreneurs who are 1,000 times better. But interestingly, he thinks this will actually increase inequality.
How so? Dan's marathon analogy maybe helps here.
Yeah, Dan pictured it like a race. Everyone gets AI, right? But some runners get distracted by, say, social media feeds designed by other AIs, while others use AI as this hyper-creativity superpower. So even with the same tool, the outcomes could be wildly different. Some pull way ahead, others fall way behind.
And then there's the darker side Brett mentioned, the creators versus the exploiters.
Exactly. You might have people using AI to build amazing things, create wealth, but right alongside them, you'll have others using the same tools to steal, to scam, to exploit on a massive scale. It's not all going to be positive innovation.
Which brings us straight to the abuse potential and that whole debate about open source versus closed AI models, like OpenAI keeping GPT-2 private back then.
Right. They said it was because of abuse, potential election meddling, sophisticated scams. That was the official reason.
But Brett was more cynical about that.
Yeah, he kind of suggested maybe it wasn't purely about safety. Maybe it was more about, well, if you have this incredibly powerful, potentially manipulative tool, do you just give it away? Or do you keep control to capitalize on it yourself?
It's a fair point for you to think about. If you've got the goose that lays golden eggs, or maybe manipulative eggs, do you share it? Keeping it private lets you control how it's used, maybe for profit.
And Brett also pointed out, we might not even know how much abuse is happening already. He said it could be going on in the shadows. We saw that tragic story, the teenager possibly influenced by a chatbot. It makes the safety and abuse concerns very real.
And now we have open source models like Llama from Meta, DeepSeek from China. What are the motivations there?
Could be lots of things, right? Disrupting competitors like OpenAI, maybe? Or making the underlying tech a commodity so their own specialized services built on top become more valuable.
Amjad seemed more optimistic, though, that the market would sort it out.
He did. He thinks market forces will drive companies to build safe AI, create security tools to fight the bad stuff.
But Brett countered with the collective action problem. Can you explain that for the listener?
Yeah, it's from game theory. Basically, even if everyone knows something is bad for the group, like, say, rampant AI abuse, individual companies still have an incentive to push ahead. They don't want to fall behind their competitors. So everyone keeps developing aggressively, even if it leads to a worse outcome overall. No one wants to be the first to hit the brakes.
And the specific abuse examples.
He mentioned a couple: training AI on artists' or writers' work without permission or payment, basically undermining their livelihoods, and creating these super personalized con artist AIs that know exactly how to manipulate you specifically. We're already seeing hints of that with those voice cloning phone scams.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not all negative, right? There are positive impacts happening, too.
Oh, absolutely. And it's important for you to hear those, too. We heard about elderly parents using AI for really helpful tasks, making their lives easier, more independent.
That's great.
And personally, in a recent M&A deal I worked on, AI was a game changer, transcribing long meetings, drafting initial legal docs. It saved a ton of time and money.
Even in that good example, there's a flip side, isn't there? The jobs.
Exactly, that efficiency gain. It likely meant less work for some lawyers or paralegals involved in that deal. Job displacement is baked into the efficiency.
And Brett drew that parallel to older tech, like cell phones, social media.
Right. Huge benefits, undeniably. But also unforeseen downsides, dopamine traps, addiction, maybe more social isolation for some. His point was, the good and bad we see with AI now might be small potatoes compared to what's coming.
Which inevitably leads to the really big questions. AGI, the singularity, and what's left for humans.
Yeah, back in 2023, Amjad said something striking. He wouldn't spend more time prepping for AGI than for the end of days. That's pretty stark.
How did he define AGI?
Pretty simply, AI learning new skills as efficiently as a human. And the singularity, that's the idea of an intelligence explosion. And AGI gets smart enough to improve itself, which makes it smarter, so it improves itself faster. This recursive loop leading to, well, who knows, something maybe beyond our understanding.
It's still debated, obviously.
Yeah.
But the idea of AI becoming incredibly powerful isn't science fiction anymore. You've got Elon Musk predicting AGI surpasses human intelligence by 2029. Sam Altman saying he knows how to build it.
Yeah, so the core question for you becomes, if AI gets smarter than us, what's our role? In the economy, in just doing things.
Amjad's vision is humans in the creative seat. We direct these swarms of intelligent beings, these AIs, to get stuff done. He still holds on to the idea that humans, our consciousness, are special, and that current AI still relies heavily on our data.
But the immediate worry for most people, let's be honest, is jobs. Which jobs are going away?
Dan was pretty blunt about that.
Yeah.
Routine jobs, quality assurance, basic data entry. Probably gone in a couple of years, he thinks.
He even mentioned accountants, some healthcare roles, like reading MRI scans initially, though regulations might slow that down in healthcare. But basically jobs that are mostly text in, text out, producing digital stuff. And they're at risk.
And the stats showed a worrying trend about inequality, right? College grads using AI more, seen as less at risk. Women potentially hit harder in some areas.
Yeah, and it's global. Those big outsourcing industries in India, the Philippines, business process outsourcing, BPO, that could be massively disrupted, which is tough because those jobs lifted millions out of poverty.
So maybe there's a pivot to AI training roles.
Possibly. That was mentioned as a potential transition. But Amjad also offered this broader definition of AGI, just AI doing things humans used to do. And by that definition, he argued, with tools like ChatGPT being used everywhere, we're kind of already there in some ways.
He's the tractor analogy.
Yeah, the tractor replacing farm labor was like a past singularity, massive destruction. His point is we tend to underestimate these world-changing techs.
And Brett highlighted the key difference this time.
Right. Industrial revolution disrupting muscle power. AI revolution disrupting brain power. Our core competency, our thinking, our ability to connect minds, AI is coming for that.
So if physical labor was automated, and now cognitive labor is being automated, what's left, that's uniquely human. They talked about emotions and agency.
Yeah, agency meaning the ability to get stuff done, make things happen, coordinate with these AIs. The initial idea was people with high agency, the go-getters, they'll thrive using these
But then
tools.
the counterpoint came. AI itself is gaining agency.
Exactly. It can already order pizza on its own, build a sauce company while you're on holiday, apparently. And OpenAI is working on memory features, so the AI can predict what you need before you even ask. Less human agency required.
And Brett's point about consciousness emerging.
Yeah, really thought-provoking. If humans develop consciousness through learning and interacting, and LLMs learn from data, could AI develop consciousness, agency, especially if they're competing and evolving, like creating an evolutionary sandbox for AIs?
Which leads to some pretty deep societal worries. A divided world.
That's a huge concern. A small elite mastering AI, benefiting hugely, while billions are left behind, lacking the skills, the access, a potential human catastrophe, as Brett put it. What are the rights, the obligations to those displaced?
And this isn't like weavers losing jobs in the Industrial Revolution. The scale, the speed, it's different. We might be heading into a high-velocity economy. Constant disruption, short careers.
We heard that anecdote, the person using Replit on Upwork, rapidly building and selling software, is that empowerment? Or a new kind of gig work where the value gets captured elsewhere?
That's the fear, right? The big players, ones with distribution, marketing power, they could just parasitize the wealth created by these newly empowered individuals.
Maybe things like distribution networks or genuine human authenticity become the new competitive advantages, the new moats, when AI can replicate ideas so easily.
And while democracies and markets might self-correct eventually,
Those corrections can be brutal. Historically, they have involved war, genocide, massive suffering. Where does all this AI-generated wealth go? Does it concentrate even more extreme?
and what about meaning? If work isn't necessary for survival, for many, thanks to abundance or UBI, does that create a crisis of meaning? We already see hints of that, like the feelings of worthlessness mentioned in relation to male suicide.
Plus the risk of AI systems exploiting vulnerable people on UBI
Yeah.
and the impact on relationships, loneliness, declining birth rates in the West. AI might amplify existing problems.
It circles back to that idea of hyper-novelty, change happening faster than we can adapt.
Right. Will AI slow that down or speed it up even more? It feels like the latter right now. And our education system, it's built for long, stable careers. How does it cope?
We need to teach kids differently, how to navigate novelty, understand their own minds, build real connections, not just specific job skills that might be obsolete tomorrow.
So the focus shifted to education. What do? The consensus seemed to be general skills, adaptability, the ability to pivot fast. That's what's valuable now.
Maybe even teaching basic, healthy living habits,
Yeah.
how to stay well physically and mentally through all this change.
Yeah, but who teaches this? Finding the right educators is tough. And there was that sobering point, the black pill, that most educational interventions don't have huge impact, except one-on-one tutoring.
Which is where AI might actually help. Personalized AI tutors at scale, maybe even with robots.
It's a possibility. So what should we teach now? Amjad gave examples of using AI with kids for imagination, creativity, generating scenarios. The focus should be on general skills, idea generation, iteration, understanding creating versus consuming.
Especially important if AI gets really good at creating addictive consumption loops, exploiting our dopamine systems.
Definitely. I mean, thinking back to my early startup days, AI can do so much of what a founder needed multiple people for back then.
So the change feels inevitable.
Pretty much acknowledged as inevitable, yeah. But there was also this sadness, this regret that we're not really preparing, even though we can see a lot of this coming.
The game theory pressure again, everyone's racing ahead.
Right, so we need deeper thinking about the morals, the solutions for job displacement. Retraining was mentioned, teaching people AI skills, like that teacher who built a company using AI.
But future jobs are unpredictable. So maybe it's less about specific skills and more about lifelong learning, adaptability. Education needs a fundamental rethink. What's the future of education departments?
Maybe a great reset of careers, constant re-education. But can humans handle that much constant change without major negative fallout?
That's where Brett brought up the Amish. They consciously stepped off the tech escalator and report high well-being.
Not saying we all become Amish, obviously, but maybe their insight about unchecked tech advancement has merit. Can we be more selective?
We're seeing some localized attempts at that. People seeking more ancestral lifestyles, using remote work to support local communities, designing more walkable, connected cities.
Yeah, but the worry was also voiced. Are the elites just figuring out how to protect their families while the negative impacts get pushed onto everyone else globally? Can we bring everyone along?
The market won't solve it alone.
Yeah.
Needs deliberate intervention.
So what were the biggest specific fears that came up?
Brett listed 5 main ones. 1, malevolent AI, the Terminator scenario. He was least worried about that short term.
Okay.
2, misaligned AI, the paperclip maximizer idea. AI pursuing a goal, literally, with disastrous unintended side effects, more likely.
Right.
3, derangement of human intellect, basically not being able to tell what's true anymore in a flood of AI content, leading to confusion, inability to make good decisions.
The big one.
4, AI-enabled exploitation, scams, manipulation, erosion of trust, things we already discussed. And 5, AI accelerating bad demographic trends, maybe leading to more friction, conflict.
That truth problem seems critical. Are we more propagandized now than before? Or just more cynical because we don't know what to believe?
Could AI also help protect against AI platforms building tools to spot the fakes, the scams?
Maybe. But do companies like Meta have the real incentive to fix it? Or is engagement still king? History suggests caution there.
Okay, let's flip it. What about the optimism? The potential benefits?
Definitely there too. Huge potential. Think about the shortage of great teachers, professors globally. AI could augment them, spread their reach.
Tackle big global problems, things too complex for humans alone.
Yeah, climate change, disease. AI could process data, find patterns we miss, maybe even lead to more adaptive governance. Governments using real-time data to adjust policies.
And healthcare? Education again. Faster MRI analysis was mentioned, broader access to medical advice, personalized learning for everyone.
Amjad was really excited about moving away from dehumanizing industrial jobs towards more creative, fulfilling work, running your own mini-kingdom powered by AI tools.
People are already feeling that boost in productivity, right?
Yeah.
Being able to juggle more projects, pursue passions.
Totally. And it's democratizing. Anyone, anywhere can potentially use these tools. Like those examples from Replit people building real business tools, personal apps like a pocket money tracker, just using natural language.
That is pretty amazing. But there's one more really big fear that came up. Autonomous weapons.
Yeah, that one felt heavy. The unpredictable nature of these complex systems, AI, corporations, governments all interacting, it could lead to terrible outcomes even if no single actor wants them.
The arms race aspect, too. U.S., China, military AI, incentives to cut corners on safety.
Very real fear. Autonomous drones for assassinations. Governments using AI for total citizen control. We see hints of that already. That Microsoft AI exec talked about needing containment for destabilizing AI falling into small groups' hands.
But how do you even contain it? Nick Bostrom's ideas about total surveillance. It gets dystopian fast.
And then the final, maybe more philosophical fear. VR and simulation. Creating perfect virtual worlds. Do we just retreat? Lose interest in reality, space exploration. The Fermi paradox question, maybe advanced civs always end up plugging themselves into the matrix.
Or destroy themselves before they get there. Yeah, heavy stuff.
So wrapping this up, as you can probably tell, we are living in a seriously interesting time. Maybe uniquely so, and for you listening, maybe feeling a bit intimidated by all this tech.
The message seemed to be, don't be. These tools are getting easier to use.
Exactly. Explore them. Experiment. As we heard, AI can be a powerful engine for entrepreneurship, even just in your own job or life. That product manager example, driving real results, or building a useful family tool. Platforms like Replit really are democratizing the power to create.
It feels like a phased transition for humanity, like learning to farm or the Industrial Revolution. Huge shifts.
Huge shifts. And yes, there's darkness, valid concerns we've talked about, but maybe view it as navigating an adaptive landscape, feeling our way toward something potentially much better.
But it won't happen automatically. It needs thought, action. We need to make sure AI serves everyone, doesn't become a new form of enslavement.
Let's really hope these conversations, this awareness now, helps us avoid the worst pitfalls this time, unlike past revolutions where the consequences weren't well understood until much later.
Agreed.
Okay, a massive thank you to Amjad, Brett, and Dan for their incredible, diverse insights on this. It's a lot to process.
It really is.
And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. If this got you thinking, please subscribe to the show. We'll keep digging into these big ideas together.